I protect myself. I don't just sit in the house with the television on.
In making memories, literally. You know, Stem and I were sitting out on the back porch the other day having breakfast.
Your dream tournament is now a reality and you've experienced it a few days. What's it like? How has it been run? How do you think it's...
It seems the file system tools are unavailable in this session. Here is the fully rewritten transcript with synonyms, in U.S. English, all sentences kept intact, and the channel name removed. Oprah? Demolished. Alex Eala's ruthless 8-word retort shattered the internet. Grab your popcorn, tennis enthusiasts, because the gossip being served today is absolutely scorching, and it involves a rivalry absolutely nobody anticipated. Today we are plunging headfirst into a headline that has completely fractured social media, divided generations, and left the entire sports and entertainment world picking their jaws up off the floor. We are talking about the ultimate showdown of the titans. In one corner, we have the undisputed queen of media, a billionaire mogul who has shaped cultural conversations for decades, Oprah Winfrey. In the other corner, we have the emerging princess of Philippine tennis, a Gen Z powerhouse whose explosive baseline game is currently only rivaled by her massive, undeniable viral influence, Alex Eala. You would think these two remarkable women would be lifting each other up in some glamorous, high-profile interview about female empowerment, but instead, they are currently locked in one of the most savage, public, and deeply personal verbal battles we have ever witnessed in modern pop culture history. And it all culminated in a legendary 8-word mic drop from Alex that has the entire internet picking sides. To truly understand the magnitude of this nuclear fallout, we have to examine how this unprecedented drama actually started. Alex Eala has been absolutely dominating the headlines recently. Yes, her tennis is spectacular. She is a Rafa Nadal Academy prodigy with a junior Grand Slam pedigree and a work ethic that would make a Spartan jealous. But lately, her star power has transcended the sport entirely. She is becoming a global brand, a fashion icon, a social media sensation, and a prominent voice for her generation. Every time she steps onto the court, steps out on a red carpet, or posts an update online, millions of people are watching, liking, and sharing. Her matches are becoming massive spectacles, attracting crowds not just for the topspin forehands, but for the sheer electric aura she brings to the arena. Stadiums that once sat half empty are now sold out within hours the moment Alex Eala's name appears on the draw sheet. Sponsors are calling. Brands are lining up. Magazines are putting her on covers. She is not just a tennis player anymore. She is a movement. And apparently, this immense spotlight did not sit well with everyone. Because out of nowhere, Oprah Winfrey took to social media and dropped an absolute bombshell of a post taking direct aim at the young tennis sensation. The post read like a heat-seeking missile crafted and launched with surgical precision. Oprah wrote, "I've been watching Alex Eala dominate the headlines lately. And let's be real, it's not because of her exceptional tennis talent. The buzz around her comes from her image, her viral personality, and the spectacle of her rise, not from genuine skill. I've spent decades building conversations that uplift and unite people. While she has become a symbol of distraction, emotional chaos, and headlines that feed off controversy instead of meaning, being adored is not the same as making a real impact. She may be everywhere right now, but history remembers depth, not noise." Let's just pause for a moment and take a collective breath, because that was not a gentle critique. That was an absolute character assassination from one of the most powerful women on the planet. Oprah essentially accused a 20-something athlete of prioritizing fame over forehands, style over substance, and clout over character. For Oprah to come out and suggest that Alex's rise is built on emotional chaos and distraction rather than her grueling hours on the practice court is a staggering accusation. Think about what that means for a moment. Alex Eala left her home in the Philippines as a teenager, flew across the world, enrolled at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy in Spain, and began the brutal, lonely, financially uncertain grind of professional tennis. She lost matches. She got injured. She wept on courts far from home. She clawed her way through the ITF circuit, battled through qualifying rounds, and earned every single ranking point with the sweat of her own brow. And Oprah called that noise. The internet instantly erupted like a server that just received 1 billion simultaneous pings. Fan bases clashed across every platform. Think pieces were rapidly published. Sports journalists weighed in. Entertainment columnists had opinions. Former athletes took sides. And everyone waited with bated breath to see if Alex's PR team would issue a standard, watered-down corporate apology designed to avoid antagonizing the daytime television titan. History is full of young athletes who buckled under the pressure of powerful critics, who quietly issued statements written by lawyers and agents, draining all the fire and truth out of the moment. But if you know anything about Alex Eala, and if you have watched her compete through tiebreaks in Grand Slam qualifying or battle through three-set showdowns in sweltering outdoor conditions, you already know she does not back down from heavy hitters. Whether she is returning a 100-mile-per-hour serve or dealing with a billionaire's shade, the mechanism is exactly the same. She squares up, she locks in, and she fires back. Alex did not wait for her management to draft a safe response. She did not sleep on it. She did not consult a publicist or run the words through a committee of corporate handlers. She fired back instantly, taking to her own platforms to deliver a masterclass in holding your ground with grace, intelligence, and devastating emotional precision. Her response was raw, emotional, and cut straight to the bone. Alex wrote, "Miss Oprah, I've never chased fame. I've only tried to tell my story honestly and help people who come from the same tough places I did. Any attention coming my way isn't about chaos. It's from years of struggle, hard work, community efforts, and real people who see themselves in my journey. While you focused on inspiring audiences, I focused on saving dreams, lifting up the broken, and proving that opportunity is real, no matter where you come from. Being seen isn't a crime. Ma'am, it's what happens when you speak from your scars and try to turn your pain into purpose." Wow. Just wow. Let us unpack the sheer brilliance and emotional gravity of Alex's defense here, because it highlights a massive generational and cultural divide that goes far beyond tennis. Oprah built her empire in an era where media was curated, polished, and controlled from the top down. You had to be invited to the couch to have a voice. A publicist had to pitch you to a producer. An executive had to greenlight your story. Oprah herself was the gatekeeper, the validator, the one who decided which stories were worthy of being heard and which were not. But Alex Eala represents an entirely new generation of athletes who have completely democratized their own narratives. No couch required, no publicist required, no studio required. She points a phone camera at her face, speaks from her heart, posts it to millions, and the world responds. When Alex talks about coming from tough places and focusing on saving dreams, she is not speaking in platitudes. This is a young woman who carries the sporting hopes of an entire developing nation on her shoulders. Today's athletes post about their burnout. They share their off-court passions and community activism. They cry on camera and do not apologize for it. For Alex, using her viral personality to fund grassroots tennis programs in the Philippines or to speak out for underprivileged youth is not a distraction from her tennis. It is the very reason she plays tennis in the first place. And turning pain into purpose resonated so deeply with her millions of followers that the hashtag #PainIntoPurpose immediately started trending worldwide, completely hijacking the conversation Oprah had tried to start and rewriting it entirely on Alex's terms. But the absolute cherry on top of this dramatic Sunday, the single moment that truly sent shockwaves through the stratosphere and guaranteed this feud a permanent place in the Pop Culture Hall of Fame, was the final line of Alex's response. After her eloquent, passionate, emotionally devastating defense of her journey, Alex did not leave it open for debate. She did not end with a question mark or a polite olive branch. She closed the book with an 8-word message so lethal, so perfectly crafted, and so undeniably savage in its simplicity that it instantly garnered millions of likes, retweets, and thunderous support from fans and fellow athletes across every platform in existence. The 8 words that broke the internet were, "My legacy is built on courts, not couches." Boom. The sound you just heard was the collective gasp of 7 continents simultaneously inhaling. My legacy is built on courts, not couches. In just 8 words, Alex Eala subtly but devastatingly highlighted the fundamental difference between their two worlds. She reminded the entire world that while Oprah has built immense wealth and extraordinary influence talking about other people's struggles from the comfort of a television studio couch, Alex is out there bleeding, sweating, crying, winning, and grinding on the hard courts of the world, fighting for every single point, every single paycheck, and every ounce of respect she has ever received. It was the ultimate, perfectly measured clap back. It was not profane. It was not a tantrum. It was not a desperate lashing out from a young woman who felt cornered. It was a cold, precise, confident, and permanent declaration of her identity as a warrior in the sporting arena. 8 words. That is all it took. 8 words to turn the tables so completely that Oprah's post now looks like the one that was tone-deaf, disconnected, and out of touch. The fallout from those 8 words has been absolutely spectacular to witness unfold in real time. Fellow tennis players have been conspicuously liking Alex's post across social media platforms, a quiet but powerful show of solidarity from a locker room. Former champions, many of whom spent years grappling with the same tired narrative that their marketability somehow undermined their athletic credibility, have been vocal in their support. You can imagine the locker room buzz right now, whispered conversations before practice, players sharing their phones with each other, laughing and nodding in recognition of something every young female athlete has felt at some point in her career. Because this situation is not new. It is just finally being confronted head-on by someone with enough courage, enough platform, and enough rhetorical brilliance to make the confrontation impossible to ignore. This feud brings up a much larger conversation that has been quietly brewing in tennis for the last decade, one that the establishment has been desperately hoping would stay beneath the surface. Historically, whenever a young, attractive, charismatic female tennis player starts attracting attention beyond the lines of the court, a certain segment of the sporting establishment tries to tear her down. The narrative is always the same, recycled endlessly with different names and different decades. We saw it with Anna Kournikova in the late 1990s, when her immense marketability was constantly weaponized against her despite the fact that she was genuinely a top 10 player and a dominant doubles champion with Grand Slam titles to her name. The media reduced her to her looks and used her commercial success as evidence that she was not serious about the sport. We saw it with Maria Sharapova, who had to constantly and exhaustingly prove that her grit was real and that the covers of magazines did not contradict the trophies on her shelf. We saw it more recently with Emma Raducanu, who achieved the miraculous, statistically almost impossible feat of winning the US Open as a qualifier without dropping a single set across 3 rounds of qualifying and 7 rounds of the main draw, one of the greatest sporting achievements in the history of the Women's Tennis Association. And she was relentlessly hounded by the media the moment she signed luxury brand deals, as if stepping in front of a fashion camera somehow negated her. Unbelievable sporting achievement. If a male tennis player wins a Grand Slam and signs an endorsement deal the next day, the headline is about his business acumen. If a young woman does it, the headline questions her dedication to the sport. The double standard is exhausting and it is pervasive. And Oprah's critique of Alex Eala played directly and unambiguously into the same tired, archaic trope, which is what makes Alex's response so powerful and so historically significant. She did not just defend herself. She dismantled the trope itself. What Oprah failed to recognize is that the playbook has completely changed. Today's athletes, especially someone as grounded, fiercely intelligent, and strategically aware as Alex Eala, refuse to be boxed into the old, shut-up-and-play mentality. They understand, in a way that previous generations of athletes were perhaps not equipped to articulate, that building a massive platform outside of your sport is not a betrayal of your sport. It is insurance. It is leverage. It is the difference between being entirely dependent on prize money and ranking points, and having the financial independence to make decisions based on your own values and your own well-being, rather than out of desperation. Alex's popularity is not a distraction from her tennis career. It is the foundation that allows her tennis career to exist on her own terms, and she is using that leverage to uplift her community, something she made abundantly clear in her response, and something that Oprah of all people should have immediately recognized and respected. As we look at the latest developments surrounding this extraordinary story, the tension continues to simmer and build. Oprah's camp has remained uncharacteristically silent since the 8-word mic drop landed, perhaps realizing they severely underestimated the loyalty, the ferocity, and the sheer numbers of Alex's fan base, or perhaps quietly consulting with advisors about whether any public response is even possible without making the situation dramatically worse. Meanwhile, Alex Eala has been spotted back at the practice courts looking completely and utterly unbothered. Sources close to her training camp describe her as focused, sharp, and hitting forehands with a kind of aggressive, explosive intent that suggests she is channeling every single ounce of this external noise directly into her racket and her preparation. There is a long and honored tradition in sports of athletes who use controversy as fuel. And if Alex's historical track record of rising to moments of pressure is any indication, she is about to play some of the best tennis of her life. Rumors have spread through the tennis world that ticket sales for her upcoming tournaments have skyrocketed since the feud went fully and unmistakably viral. Promoters are scrambling to secure center court slots for her matches, knowing with complete certainty that the global audience is watching and waiting to see how she responds under this new, intense level of scrutiny. Will the pressure crack her? Will the weight of suddenly being in the crosshairs of one of the most powerful media personalities in human history cause her to shrink, to tighten, to miss forehands she would normally make in her sleep? Or will she do what champions do, which is use every obstacle, every criticism, every moment of doubt as kindling for a fire that burns hotter and brighter than ever before? If her pain into purpose mantra tells us anything about the kind of person Alex Eala truly is, I would not bet against her. Not for a single second, not for a single point. Furthermore, this whole dramatic, explosive, and endlessly fascinating saga provides an incredibly rich and revealing look into the current state of the WTA Tour and women's tennis as a whole. The sport is in the middle of a profound generational transition. Legends like Serena Williams have retired, leaving behind a legacy so enormous and so singular that no single player can possibly fill it alone. The sport is instead searching for a constellation of new stars, each bringing something different, each capable of capturing the imagination of a different segment of the global audience. Players like Iga Swiatek, Aryna Sabalenka, and Coco Gauff are carrying the torch beautifully with their on-court excellence. But the tour desperately needs the kind of crossover pop culture magnetism that Alex Eala is currently generating in quantities that no marketing team could manufacture or replicate. The WTA needs players who can make headlines, sell out stadiums, bring non-tennis fans to the sport, and make a 16-year-old in Manila or a 13-year-old in Lagos pick up a racket for the very first time. By criticizing Alex's spectacle, Oprah is arguably attacking the very lifeblood that keeps modern sports alive and thriving in the digital age. The WTA does not need its rising stars to be quiet, humble, and invisible off the court. It needs them to be exactly what Alex is: compelling, authentic, vocal, and connected to communities that traditional sports media has chronically ignored. In the age of TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and fast-paced digital consumption, where attention spans are shorter and content options are infinite, a player's viral personality is not a distraction from the sport. It is the sport's greatest asset for reaching the next generation of fans. Alex Eala is not hurting tennis. She is rescuing it. She is introducing it to millions of young people across Southeast Asia, Africa, and Latin America who might have otherwise never picked up a racket, never watched a match, and never understood why this sport that looks so simple on the surface is actually one of the most mentally, physically, and emotionally demanding pursuits a human being can undertake. Ultimately, this clash between Oprah Winfrey and Alex Eala is about something much bigger and much more profound than tennis or media or who has the better social media following, or even who landed the most devastating verbal blow. It is a fundamental cultural moment about how we measure impact in the modern world, how we judge young women who dare to be visible and loud and complicated and unapologetically themselves, and most critically, who gets to decide what a legacy looks like. Oprah Winfrey's legacy is cemented in history by any reasonable measure. She has done immeasurable good, broken unimaginable barriers, and built institutions that will outlast all of us. Nobody is questioning that. But here is what the moment demands. We also acknowledge that Oprah does not hold a monopoly on the definition of impact. Alex Eala is currently writing her own history on her own courts, on her own terms, blending the grueling, relentless athleticism of a world-class tennis professional with the savvy, fiercely outspoken, deeply rooted authenticity of a modern icon who knows exactly where she came from and exactly where she is going. And if anyone tries to tell her she is just noise, well, they had better brace themselves, because 8 words is all it takes. 8 words. A clear conscience and a decade of grinding on courts from Manila to Madrid to Melbourne. 8 words from a young woman who left everything familiar behind in pursuit of a dream that everyone said was too expensive, too difficult, and too unlikely for someone from where she came from. 8 words that have now reverberated around the world and ignited conversations in boardrooms, locker rooms, classrooms, and family dinner tables about what we owe the athletes who carry our hopes and dreams on their shoulders, and what we absolutely do not have the right to strip away from them. My legacy is built on courts, not couches. Remember those 8 words, because we are going to be quoting them for a very long time. What an unbelievable, jaw-dropping, and endlessly layered roller coaster of a story this has been. The drama is still unfolding. The conversation is still growing. The sides are still being chosen. And the arguments are still being made across every platform, in every language, on every continent where tennis is played and where stories of young women overcoming impossible odds are celebrated. Do you think Oprah was completely out of line with her comments? Or does she have a point about modern athletes sometimes losing themselves in the performance of fame at the expense of genuine depth and impact? And more importantly, be honest with yourself right now. Is Alex Eala's 8-word reply the single greatest athlete comeback we have collectively witnessed this entire decade? Drop into the comments section right now and let us know whose side you are on, Team Oprah or Team Eala. The debate is wide open and we want every single voice in it. If you enjoyed this deep, dramatic, no-holds-barred dive into the spiciest, most talked-about drama in the tennis world right now, smash that like button, subscribe so you never miss a single update, and hit the notification bell right now, because the tennis world never sleeps, and neither, my friends, do we.